everyone, good afternoon. I'm Ari and I am on the IACUE Innovation Grant Committee, and thanks so much for hopping on in to learn a little bit more about our grant program and our process. And joining me tonight is Heather. Heather, want to say hi to everybody?
Hi everyone, this is Heather Hiltz Fitzgerald, IACUE board member, and we're super stoked to talk about the possibility and opportunity for our educators within the inland area to sign up and receive possibly some grant money for their classrooms this year.
Yep, sure are. And we're so excited because our grant program, this is actually like the third or fourth year of it, but we've changed it a little bit to meet the demands of remote learning. So I'm going to pop into the screen share and show you everything you need to know. All right, make sure we pick the right window. And here we go. Cool. So, Heather, am I showing the right page? Am I showing the IACUE website?
Yes, you are.
Fantastic. Thank you for being my co-pilot tonight. All right, so if you are not familiar with the IACUE website, super easy, IACUE.com, and this is your main hub for everything you need to know about IACUE. But tonight we're going to focus in on the Innovation Grant. So with our Innovation Grant, and let's make this a little bit bigger, there we go. The purpose is we want to support you, the educators in our area, to be able to continue to innovate in your classrooms. And of course, we know with remote learning, distance learning, hybrid learning, things are not what they've been in the past. So we want to make sure that we are able to help you in new and different ways. So in the past, our grants have been for different amounts of money, but this year, to be able to expand the amount of educators we can reach, we're offering grants for $100 or $250. And those grants can be used to pay for technology hardware or software, or purchases for you to attend professional development. Now, of course, the things that you're purchasing should be applicable and help you with your practice for distance learning. Now, you want to make sure when you apply, you pick something that is going to be sustainable. So we hate for you to get something with these funds, but then your subscription expire and you're not able to purchase it again. Also, just one kind of quick, legal note, all purchases will be reimbursed to you and only you. So we can't reimburse it to a club or a PTA or your district. So make sure that it's on your account, not anybody else's. And then, of course, we are saying any version of remote learning, hybrid learning, distance learning, anything like that qualifies, because we know every district is doing it differently. So we want to make sure that we understand that. So of course, to be eligible, you have to be any school personnel that works with students in our region. So when we say any school or all school personnel, you can be an aide, a librarian, a teacher, a counselor, a school psychologist, a site admin, a district admin that also teaches a CTE class on the side. Any of those things apply. Just the key is you work directly with students. So of course, you have to live within the IACUE region, and it's not that we don't love Coachella Valley, but they have their own affiliate, so make sure you check them out as well if you are in that region. And of course, make sure you are a current member and you're a part of our IACUE community. So the application instructions are really easy. So first, come to IACUE.com and click on the tab that says Grant. Next, we highly suggest you review the grant rubric. So let's take a look. So what you'll notice is there are three different questions you're going to be answering. And let's go ahead and give that a quick reload, since apparently Google thinks something went wrong. There we go. Now it's all better. So you're going to be graded on a 3-point scale. So basic, intermediate, and innovative. So when we look at that first question, we want you to describe how you're going to engage your students during synchronous or asynchronous instruction. So as you can see, a basic response doesn't have a lot of detail. So if we want to really make sure that your application is ready and good to go, focus on being innovative. So you're going to show us how it connects to student engagement, giving us clear ideas related to your content and related to the pedagogy style of your choosing. And to really get that point in the innovative category, instead of saying synchronous and or asynchronous, talk about both. In fact, really any good rule of thumb when you're applying for an award or for a grant, if you see an and or, always try to do the and, not the or. The second question is we want to know how you think this purchase is going to expand your capacity to provide equitable access to distance learning or digital learning, address social emotional learning, accessibility, and or, again, parent engagement. Again, we really want details. And in this case, again, we want to see more than one area discussed. If you only talk about one area and you provide detail, you'll probably end up in that middle intermediate category. Now, of course, is it feasible to address all these things, digital learning, SEL, accessibility, and parent engagement in your response? Maybe, but if it isn't easy or if it doesn't make sense to address all four, that's okay. We're not expecting you to address all four to be innovative, but 2 or 3 sounds good to us. And last but not least, we want you to think about how is this also what you're buying or what you're learning going to affect you when you return to classroom? So when you're not distance, remote, or hybrid learning, if some of you are already back on campus or are returning to campus for hybrid learning, we're thinking beyond that when all of your kiddos get to be back into the room with you. So when we think about this, we really want to make sure that there's personal reflection, showing this is something that I've learned during distance learning. This is how I think this tool or this professional learning is going to help me address what I've learned and move forward. And provide examples. If you buy some specific item, how are you going to use that item in the future? So we want to make sure that you take that quick moment to reflect, because we know reflecting on practice is always an important part of being an educator. So once you've reviewed the rubric, we go back and look at our IACUE website. Perfect. We have our Google Form application, but I want to make sure that you know that there is a template that you can use to prepare your answers ahead of time. It's set up as a forced copy Google link, so that way you're ready to go. But let's take a look at it real quick in my window where I'm signed in. And where are we? You know what? We'll just make a copy of it right now. There we go. So you'll notice on the grant template, we include the different things that we're going to ask you for demographic information. Don't worry, we're not going to sell your information to Facebook or something like that. We just want to know this information so that way we can celebrate you and celebrate your achievements. Also, the link to the grant rubric is here, and then we just give you some text boxes to respond. Now, here's the thing. We aren't going to give you a character count because we really want to make sure that you have the opportunity to best represent your ideas. Once you've filled out your test doc, you can open the Google Form application, and I'm going to open it in another window so it doesn't open in edit mode. Here we go. And you're going to go through and answer the questions. Also, just as a reminder, we've made sure to put the different information about the award amounts, the stipulation about the PTAs, all that good stuff. And real quick, we'll pretend that I'm filling out the application so that way you can see the second page. There we go. All right. So then, of course, here's where you have your ability to answer your questions. We do also ask that you provide a budget for what you're going to purchase. So this could be a Google Sheet, this could be a picture of your Amazon cart, really whatever you want it to be. This is especially important if you're buying multiple things. We also want to make sure we know how much you are requesting, so make sure you tell us if it's the 100 or the 250. Also, it's very, very important that once you make your purchase, if you are given an award, that you get your receipts to us by April 30th, so that way we can reimburse you for your purchase. Also, again, we want to make sure you remember the purchase has to be made by you, no one else. And finally, we want to make sure that we're celebrating you and sharing what you've done with the IACUE community. So we just remind you that we ask that you write a short little thing or show us some pictures to share how you use what you purchased with the grant. So that way other educators can learn from your experience. Also, very important, you want to make sure that board at IACUE is not blocked by your email, because we want to make sure that you get to find out all the relevant updates. And we will make sure that even though Spring CUE is going to be virtual again, that's when we're going to officially announce our winners. If you're unable to attend the Spring CUE event, that's okay. We'll still make sure folks are notified by after March 20th. And the affiliate meeting that's associated with Spring CUE, where we'll be announcing these winners, conference attendance is not required to attend the meeting. So by all means, please make sure you join us. Also, of course, down here at the end, the things that are already in the Google Doc are in the Google form are here as well. The reason we put this is because we know sometimes you don't want to click a bunch of extra links, so we put it all on one page for you to be able to see. And of course, we remind you that this is the link to the form to fill out your application. As you can see, if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me personally, and I will be more than happy to provide any assistance or any guidance. This link, the IACUE.com/grant, it's open so anybody in our area can apply. And we really hope that you or your colleagues do, because this grant program, it's all about you. It's all about making sure you feel like you have the resources that you need to be successful during this crazy time. Now, a couple of best practices that I want to share from grant applications past. And this may sound silly, but just make sure you read the question in the rubric. We want to make sure that we're transparent so that way you know how we're grading when we look over your questions. But sometimes when we look at answers, they don't answer every part of the question, or they go off on a tangent that really doesn't relate to what we're asking. A lot of the times that information you share is fantastic, but the problem is since it doesn't answer the question, we can't score it beyond a basic, even if what you've shared is fantastic. So make sure, read the rubric and answer the questions, number one. The second thing is when folks sometimes copy and paste out of their Google Doc into the Google form, they don't actually capture all the information, or sometimes they copy and paste the same answer twice. So make sure when you go through and you look at your app that the correct answers are in the correct spots and that the text that you want to be there is actually there. One other thing that we've seen some people do from time to time is they'll put in their answers a link. So not just the link to their PDF with their budget, but if they say, you know, I want to buy Ozobots to do XYZ, they might put a link to, you know, a time where they've done computer science work, but just something different than Ozobots. Now, we don't require you to provide links, and we also, when we see those in applications, since it's not a requirement and since not everybody has submitted links in the past, we don't take that into account when we grade, because we want to make sure that we are being equitable in how we look at everyone's application. So if you share a link with us, we'll definitely take a look and see how cool it is. And if it's something that's posted on Twitter, you'll probably get a like and a retweet, but just know that that won't be a part of your official grading. Now, anything else that you can think of when it comes to grants is really just be open, be honest, and really share how this is going to affect you. Even if the way that you're responding or what you're doing for professional development exposes maybe a part of your teaching practice that you don't feel proud of because maybe you feel like it's a weakness, or you know that it's something that you won't need to improve on, that's okay. Your grant application answers will not be shared with anybody other than the scoring committee. So number one, it's not like we're going to put you on blast. But number two, being honest and showing that level of reflection and that level of honesty really shows how much you care and how much you're dedicated to your students. So we encourage you to share with us as much as you feel comfortable. So that way we can learn a little bit more about you through the grant process. I know actually through this process and also through the IACUE awards process that happens during the fall, we will get to learn a lot of wonderful things about the people in the IACUE community. And then we get to celebrate that and get to share that out. So by all means, tell us about you. And on the same vein of telling us about you, this is not the time to be humble, right? Educators are always so, well, I'm just an educator, or so many people do this too, so I'm not special. Dang it, be special. Tell me how much of a wonderful unicorn you are. You're asking for help, you're asking for funding. This is not the time to be meek. Tell us how cool you are and how amazing this thing that you're purchasing, whether it be hardware, software, or professional development, is going to impact your practice and impact your students. Don't be humble. Really, go for it. We want to know about you. We want to know what you're trying to do. So don't worry. None of us are going to think, oh, well, that person sure thinks they're full of themselves. No way. We're going to think you're advocating for you and advocating for your students. So I think that addresses all of our best practices. Heather, can you think of anything I might have left out?
Say that again, Ari. I couldn't hear you.
Can you think of anything that I might have left out to tell our folks about our grant process?
No, you did an amazing job of explaining the entire process, and I love that you gave tips and tricks just so that we, kind of have that streamlined process of collecting all of the different submissions. But I'm really excited to see what people are doing within their own school sites and within their classrooms. Hey, maybe we can share some of that stuff out too, so we can inspire others.
Yep, 100%. Awesome. Well, with that, we will go ahead and end the call. And of course, we've been recording the entire time. So if you missed something, you want to rewatch something, you want to share this opportunity with another educator at your school site, at your friend's school site. Like my husband's a teacher, so I'm going to be sending this over to him. But don't worry, I won't be biased, I promise you. In fact, I won't score his application. I'll let somebody else do that. But seriously, like, share, post. Let's get a ton of people to apply for these awards. I want to be reading applications for hours, just helping to figure out who in the IACUE community is going to be a recipient of grants this year. And when I say grants, I mean it. There's more than one. There's not one $100 prize and one $250 prize. There's multiple. So don't think, oh, I never win anything. Now might be your chance. So fill out the application, share your awesomeness with us, and we can't wait to share the results from the grant on March 20th. So thanks, everybody.
Bye.